So the other day, I had demonstrated that you can take a element that's within a component and you can actually move the element outside of the component and inject it into the body tag, and all of the template bindings will remain and all of the view model reconciliation continues to happen. Now, I was digging through the Angular material source code this morning, and I noticed that they did a very similar thing, but they do it with ng-template. Now, ng-template doesn't actually have any rendering of its own, so what they do is they take the view container ref, they use that to render the template reference, and then they take the DOM nodes from that rendered embedded view and move those to the body. So I wanted to explore this as well. So I have this app body content tag, which will just take the content from the calling context, project it into this template, which, by the way, I don't think I've ever done before. And then what it does is, once the view is initialized, it takes that content reference, which I inject here with a view child query. I create an embedded view in that view container ref. That gives us the rendered elements. Then I take the root nodes of that rendered element, and you see that I move those into the document.body. So by appending them, it takes them out of the current context, which is the view container ref, and moves them to the document.body tag. And that's all this is doing. I have this detect changes here because that's what they were doing inside of the Angular material code. If I remove this, the code works. So I don't exactly know if this is necessary, or maybe it's just not necessary for my particular approach here. But you can see here that there's no other rendering other than the host element itself inside of this tag. So let's take a look at how this might work. So in my app component here, you'll see that I have my app body content, which I am rendering based on a Boolean here with the structural ngIf directive. And here I just have a bunch of timestamps. So you can see here's the string. I look at the get seconds, whether or not it's even or odd. I change the template that I render here, and then I have an ng4 to include these recordings. And all of this is just a set interval. Every second I'm taking another timestamp and then I'm pushing it onto the top of that recordings array. So let's go over to the browser and see what's happening. So let me refresh, and let's jump into the body here, or the elements tab, and you see now if I render this, notice here that the content that's being rendered is a direct sibling of the body tag, right? This is outside of the Angular application. This is the timestamp. Here's my evens and odds, and you can see here that my ng4 continues to grow as the ticks. Now if I close this, you can see all of the content has now disappeared outside of the body tag, which is pretty cool because I didn't actually clean any of this up myself, right? There's no ng on destroy here. The fact that these were initialized inside of the view container ref, I believe, is essentially what fixes that for me. Don't take my word for that. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around all of this, so there may be issues with not having to destroy. But again, like I can move this over, and again, you can see that this content, which was being projected, right, which is being projected by this app body content. So all of this content here, which is controlled technically by the app component, is being projected into this ng template, and then this ng template is being rendered inside the view container, and then the nodes of that embedded view are being moved to the document.body. So I don't know, pretty cool. I'm constantly amazed at how flexible and powerful Angular is. This technique is really raw for me, so I'm sure I might be getting technical things here wrong, but it does seem to be the approach that the Angular material library uses for basically all of their overlay type things, their tooltips, their select menus, their modal windows, I think. So definitely I'll be trying to figure out how to leverage this more going forward.